So, Gagan, wonderful to catch up again. And as always, I enjoy all these conversations with you. Um, and I'm looking forward to today's conversation.
Today is a very interesting topic, actually, Karishma. And I think it matters to many people, uh, definitely in a corporate leadership role, but even otherwise in general as well as people evolve in life. It does matter to many of us.
I agree.
So,
So, in your any of your roles, have you ever made a decision where, sometimes it anything you review, any data you review wouldn't make logical sense with what you want to do, but you go ahead and take that decision anyway and execute it?
um, Karishma, that has happened definitely. But one example I'd like to give over here is in a recruitment part. So I was hiring for my team, and this young boy came for an interview. It was a contractual role. It was not a full time role, and it was uh, I recollect about 9:30 or 10 in the morning, and he was a fresher. So as the interview was going on, just few minutes into the interview, I could sense that the guy is not comfortable. Something is not right. So I asked him. I said, all well. I mean, we can take a pause. You need something? Is everything okay with you? He said, Sir, I have not slept because my friend met with an accident and I was with him in the hospital the whole night. I'm coming from the hospital. I haven't taken my breakfast. I haven't freshened up as well. It's been more than 24 hours that I'm awake. So perhaps that is what you see right now. And I could see a kind of a subtle discomfort in his body language. So anyway, we continued for some more minutes. I had to inquire a few things from him. We did that. Um, but then, my feedback to the HR was that we are hiring this guy. And I'll be very brutally honest, Karishma. I did not go too much technical into the profile part of it to assess his knowledge and skill set. I just went with in a very common language, with my gut feel. There was no data to support. There was no rational thinking. There was no logic that could work. I purely went with my gut, with my intuition. Because as you spend so much of time working with people, you kind of develop that sense uh, when you're talking to somebody. So I could get those vibrations. This guy has the honesty as an attitude that we require. Skill set, we can train you. Technical knowledge, we will upskill you. But where will you get the attitude of being brutally honest? That is not easily available. So that is one
I
example, Karishma.
I agree. And I have had a couple of experiences as well, which we'll talk about as we go during the discussion. So, for our listeners, today we are talking about something very important, which lot of leaders feel, but very few follow. We are talking about having intuition and using our intuition in leadership, which is to me a very interesting topic because I have learned the hard way, so to say, to continue to listen to the vibes, the gut feel, the intuition, impulse, whatever you want to call it. Although all these words don't mean the same to me, but yes. So that's our topic of discussion today, and we get to know each other's experiences, learn from each other, because it's always a pleasure to talk and learn with Gagan. So, Gagan, what do you think intuition in leadership means in today's world, in today's scenario, corporate scenario, or maybe for entrepreneurs?
I think what intelligence means, but what intuition means is pure intelligence. Now, when I say intelligence, I'm not speaking of the academic textbook knowledge. That could be the starting point. But we have to go beyond the textbooks. We have to go beyond the academics. We have to trust our inner voice. But that inner voice could also be, our emotions getting carried away. we might end up making big mistakes as well. So it is not about having a blind faith or a blind trust on the intuition. That being said, to the entrepreneurs or to the people working in a corporate world or otherwise, I would say start slow, train your mind. As in the military, they say the mind muscle. You train your mind repeatedly so much that it becomes part of who you are. And one fine day, you are very comfortable to make an assessment in a very short amount of time about the decision that you want to take. Now, Karishma, I mean, you know this that in my coaching practice, I use Gallup Lipton strengths a lot as a tool.
True.
The Gallup defines 34 different talent themes, of which it talks about two very interesting talent themes. One is restorative and one is individualization. Now, for the listeners who do not know what Gallup Lipton Strengths is, we will post a link for all of you in the description. So please go. I've done a video on Gallup Lipton Strength as well to explain what that is all about and what are these 34 talent themes that I'm referring to. So please do watch that video separately. Now, coming back, out of 34, one is restorative and one is individualization. Now, what that means, people who have restorative as a strength, now the word restorative comes from the word restore, which means while the damage is done, how much uh, control we can do, what kind of, how can we avoid further damage from happening. The other part of restorative is these are the people who can smell the danger, and I'm saying this with a lot of responsibility. In the HR fraternity, we call this EWS, early warning signals.
True.
So they can smell it because somewhere their inner voice tells them very strongly that, you know what, hang on, don't move forward, don't take that decision, take a step back, delay the decision, don't jump into it, don't get excited, don't get emotional. So people who have this as a strength intuitively, they feel that way. The other thing is individualization. Individualization means that people who have this as a strength, they have a knack to, well, assess probably is a wrong word to use, but they do have a knack to observe people for who they are. For instance, if I'm looking at you, Karishma, I will treat you the way you would want to be treated. I would not put you into a one common bucket that because Karishma is a lady, that is how I should treat her. Because Karishma is a HR professional, that's how I should treat her. Because Karishma is a spiritual practitioner, hence this is how I should treat her. No, that is putting you into a bucket, into a common frame. That is not what it is. Individualization is I will speak to you in the language that you can relate with, that you understand with. So there are people who have individualization as a strength, and when they work with their stakeholders feel very comfortable with them because they feel, you know what, this person understands me. And that is where their inner voice, that intuition plays a role. There is no data or a statistical rationale to support it, but that is how it works. Now, keeping the Gallup Lipton strengths aside, and let's talk in a more common people language. One of my very close friends often says, never take decisions in two situations. A, when you are extremely happy, or B, when you're extremely sad.
I
Because in both
agree.
the yeah, in both the cases, what you think is right is probably not right. And so you have to, that is where you have to, and in English we say, sleep on it. Never reply a very high intensity email at the moment. Sleep on it. Respond to the email next day morning. Think about it. So that is where I think we have to, uh, you know, uh, train our mind uh, to take a pause and sharpen that inner voice, that intuition, which eventually over a period of time becomes very comfortable, becomes a part of you, so then you know what to do.
True. I think that is where, when, to me personally, that is a big difference between impulse and intuition. Because in my experience, impulse has been a state of mind where something comes to your mind and you're impatient to execute it. You just keep telling yourself, do it, just do it, just do it, just do it. Uh, to me, that is impulse, which is not always very fruitful and might turn out to, more often than not, I've seen it turn out to be adversely against what we have expected. So, intuition, rather, to me, is of course, it's intelligence, but it also is something which you feel strongly about. It's not the woo about sixth sense and all, but we develop certain familiarity with some areas based on our experience or reflexes. To me, that is intuition, and of course, in decisions, you look at data, you look at logic, but sometimes logic doesn't really speak to you that much. What speaks to you is what you should do. That has been my experience.
I fully agree with you, Karishma, and sometimes it is good to wait and watch. For example, if I look at yourself and me, I met you 8 years ago, and in the initial days we had some work that we did together. But after those days, there was a huge gap where there was absolutely no interaction between the two of us. And when you and I both thought that let's start this podcasting, we are doing it with each other. Now, how do you evaluate this? In the last 8 years, we had a very, very, very limited conversation, very limited engagement. It is not that we have been exchanging a lot of conversation in the last 8 years. No, that has not been the case. But
Absolutely.
I somehow feel that I trust you. I somehow feel that you are somebody who I can speak with. I somehow feel that if I need a podcasting partner, let it be Karishma. And so somewhere you have to. There is no number to support it. You just have to trust your inner voice, and then go with that and train your mind to assess on that part.
True. Um, I'll probably share. I'll probably share an interesting anecdote which happened with me. So when I was in Kenametal and we had started a, we've taken on some work on in the IT infrastructure space. Some work was moving from. So we were hiring a new leader, infrastructure leader at a senior level. We there was some reorganization going on. We went through the process. We finalized on somebody, but something kept telling me that this is not the right person. This is not the right person. I did voice it out to Brandon, who was the head then. Uh, Manu, Brandon, I voiced it out to both of them, but everybody felt that no, this would be a good candidate owing to the experience and the qualifications, etc. But 6 months down the line, not even 6 months, I think 3 to 4 months down the line, we got so many complaints from the employees, all sorts of complaints, and he was such a cultural misfit. He had, I mean, the whole team's environment was taken way back, like from where we had brought it back. So I think to me that was a reinforcement that come what may, you should stick to your intuition, even if you are taking a very high risk decision. That's okay. You'll fail, that's fine, but the repercussions will be your responsibility only.
Yep, 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 yep.
And I fully resonate with you on working together, being able to do this podcast together, because I think the idea of this also came so spontaneously. It was just like this, and it's so meaningful to be able to share uh, heart to heart conversations with and learn from each other's experiences as well. So I'm truly grateful for that.
Yeah, in the leadership domain, in the corporate life as well, as people grow in certain levels, um, they definitely have to rely on numbers. I mean, absolutely. Ultimately, it is a number that will give you. It ultimately is the metric that tells you that are you in the right direction or not. So yeah, numbers are important, but in many cases, people do take certain decisions based on their feelings. For example, um, just to put a title on the table, anybody who is director or above, for example, or let us say vice president or above, for example, these interviews do not happen in the office. They happen on the breakfast table at some restaurant, at some hotel. Because by that level, everybody has enough numbers to talk about. But the idea is, how did you reach that number? What did you do to come to that position? Your resume is quite solid, but what approach did you take? So there is no right or wrong answer. And I often say during my training programs as well that in for your training curriculum, my objective is not aptitude. Aptitude is your domain knowledge, your technical skill set, your functional experience. Absolutely, that is out of scope. What is in scope is mindset, and that is attitude. How do you approach a situation? Um, what kind of predictive analysis that you're doing? What kind of consequences are you thinking about? And if you take a certain decision, what could be the further consequences that may arise? So more of a forward thinking. But again, there is, in the absence of metric or a number, um, so there's a pros and cons to it. The negative side is that if you have a lot of numbers with you, a lot of data with you, sometimes we end up doing paralysis of analysis, and that sometimes delays our decisions as well because we are thinking way too much. There is lot and more amount of data in front of us, and we are getting more deeper and deeper and deeper into the metric part of it, and so we are becoming, if I may use the word, nervous also. And so either we delay the decision or we don't take a decision. But the other side is somewhere we have to, have our plan B ready or a plan C ready. If nothing goes well, what is my plan B? But we have to accelerate the decision making timeline, especially in today's age when you have so many tools available only for AI. It is just not Chat GPT. Now it is Copilot, it is Gemini, it is Perplexity, it is Cloud, it is so many options available. While AI can give you the options, the decision making is still with us. And
True.
so use the AI for the input, but that should result into your acceleration of decision making. And that decision making is somebody you have to have faith in yourself, but at the same time, don't trust things blindly. Keep your plan B ready, just in case something doesn't go very well. What is my plan B? As we speak, we are hearing about the kind of unfortunate incidents happening in the Middle East, with the US and Israel and Iran and other countries getting involved.
All powered with
Now,
AI.
right? So just 48 hours ago, or just 72 hours ago, it was everything was all right. In the last 72 hours, things have absolutely changed. So plan A does not work. Now, what is my plan B? So it is not about delaying the decision or not taking a decision. That option is not there anymore. But the idea is to, have your plan B ready with you.
Absolutely. And in my experience, what I've seen is logic also fails because most of the modeling, analysis, data we do is on the basis of past. But when we're taking a decision, it has to be for the future. And there is also people involved in it, which no numbers and all can probably talk about or address. That is where the sensitivity of a leader would come into place.
Correct.
So numbers and all is fine, but we should also develop some kind of sense as leaders.
And Karishma, the other part is, the word that I started with, the word intelligence, which also means how are you training your mind beyond the textbook and the academics. I'm a very big fan of market intelligence, and what I mean by that is please spend at least half an hour, if not 1 hour, every single day, and just browse what is happening in the world around you, or at least in the industry around you. Okay, when I say the world, people think of geopolitical things. Okay, leave it. Forget about the world. At least the organization where you are working, whichever industry that organization is part of, what is happening in that industry. So, for example, if you are part of a, let us say, HDFC Bank or ICICI Bank, that means you're part of finance industry. So, what is happening in the banking industry? What is RBI's latest statement is? What is the central bank's latest statement is? If you're part of, let us say, Air Asia or Indigo Airlines, then what is happening in the airlines industry? So if you're part of, if you play cricket or soccer, what is happening in the sports industry? That kind of general awareness, and not general knowledge, general awareness is very crucial to train your mind, so that when you accumulate this kind of intelligence, then when the moment arises, you have acquired so much of awareness that somewhere you will get a feeler inside. Nothing is going to happen by magic. It is. So
True.
inner voice or a gut feel is not a magic that some, Akashvani will happen, and God will come in my dream and give me a message. That is not going to happen. So the whole idea is half an hour at least, if not 1 hour. How are you training your mind to see what is happening? Unfortunately, Karishma, people are getting so busy that they feel, who has the time? But that is where the whole messaging is. People who are very successful, somehow they create time. People who are
Absolutely.
successful, they realize the the advantage of creating time and spending that time in just observing what is happening around them. They have the same 24 hours, but they create time. And perhaps that is why they are at the place where they are right now.
True. So, also some in inner knowing and inner intelligence is something which has to be uh, honed over a period of time. It's
Yes.
also a skill. It's not something people are born with. It's
Yeah.
also a skill that needs to be
Yep.
developed. Uh,
Yep. You train yourself for that. Um,
Absolutely.
it you know, by personality, see, you do a lot of spiritual practices. Now, that is not common with everyone. Some people go very deep into it. You paint a lot. You do a lot of spiritual healing. Now, you can train yourself to go more deeper, provided there is some inner interest in that area. So some inner traits people do have, but then that is not enough. Leaders are not born. Leaders are made over a period of time.
True.
You are born with certain kind of personality, and that is fair point. But then over a period of years, you start training yourself to go to the next level.
Yes. Interestingly, in one of my training programs in the very recent past, in the last couple of weeks, there was a discussion about self care.
Mhm.
And some people, of course, it was a training on imposter syndrome for lady colleagues, but a lot of people said that no, we will care for us when we get the time. And
Mm.
I said something could come across as a little too strong to some people, but I said self care is not a luxury, it has to be a necessity. You have to make time for it and prioritize it. Otherwise, you can only give what you have. If you don't care for yourself, if you do not, if you are a hollow from yourself inside, in whatever sense, personal sense, professional sense, how do you expect to give something to the others what you don't have? So I think that is
People.
something I've always believed in.
I agree with you, Karishma. I think people are scared, Karishma. People are scared. People are scared to admit that they need help. People are scared to display the vulnerability that even I require some help. And there is no research to back it up, but yes, there is a common understanding, which is that if you do not take help during your young days, you will definitely need help during your old days, because you lived a life of a super person or superhuman, but that is not who you are. So while you ensure that you don't require anybody's help, a time may come where, unfortunately or not so fortunately, you will be in a position where you would definitely would need help, and at that moment you feel very uncomfortable because you never asked for help. And so now you feel that now everybody has to look after me, they will clean my bed, clean me, and take care of my meals and everything. It is okay to ask for help. We don't have to pretend to be a superhuman. We are not. Yeah.
Absolutely
So self-care is a very, very important part.
true. So, Gagan, in your experience and in your whatever you observe working with so many leaders, Where do you think, in such changing times and challenging times, leadership is headed in terms of, imbibing self beliefs into your leadership style or developing your inner wisdom? Where is it headed?
There are, so if the leader is in the center, there are two things which is disrupting this leader's life. At one side is your new generation, so called the Gen Z and the Gen Alphas. They are the new kids on the block. And they come from a generation where Instagram is part of daily life. Um, they don't understand the concept of compact disc or a audio cassette. Those are aliens to them. On the other side, you have the artificial intelligence, which is not Google search anymore, but much more than that. Um, Now, the two skills, I feel it is already too late, by the way, but we don't have any more time to waste. We have to develop. A, the leaders must use their position to ask questions. We are afraid of asking questions. We are still in a mode of taking instructions or taking orders. We are very good in cascading the instructions to our juniors without asking our seniors, why are we doing it? Or why does it require now? We take the orders, we commit to the orders, we commit the delivery, and then we cascade it to the juniors. And by the way, who are the juniors? The Gen Zs and the Gen Alphas. Now, those guys are very comfortable in asking us the question that why are we doing it? And that is when I do not have the answer for them because I myself never asked that question to my seniors. And my second frustration is, how can you ask that question? I never asked that question to my boss. How can you ask me that question? So the Gen Z and the
True.
Gen Alpha is saying, I'm asking you a question. I'm not disrespecting you. I'm not raising my volume. I just have a question. And did I say that I will not do the work? I will do the work, but I need some explanation. On the other side of it, the artificial intelligence. I think many of the leaders, the senior leaders who are at the age of 35 or above or 45 or above, they are still using AI as a Google search. AI is not a Google search. Um, Google search is for you to do some data finding. AI is not for data finding. AI is when there's a word called as prompting. So the AI is all about throwing those information to the AI and asking AI, please make something out of it and give it back. For example, my son one day told me that, Dad, how we can use AI. Suppose you are cooking something in kitchen and you only have four, five, uh, you know, ingredients. Just tell the AI, I have carrots, I have eggs, I have mint, and I have flour. That's all I have. Please suggest what I can make out of it and give me a recipe. So this is very awkward. A carrot, an egg, a mint, and a flour. Very awkward kind of a thing. But that is where AI comes handy. That is where the value add is, and you will be surprised what AI throws back at you, and also gives you the recipe to make it, and also the nutrition count of that. So I think people are still using AI as a Google search, but not like an assistant. Use AI like an assistant, and then take decisions based on that. In the words of Jensen Huang, the chairman of NVIDIA, he says AI will not take your job. People using AI will take your job.
Absolutely.
So I think for the leaders, they need to have faith in themselves. They must do some self-caring as well. They must. The good news is these leaders who are 35 plus or 45 plus in their age, they have been there. They have done that. What you cannot steal from them is the wisdom and the experience. But at the same time, they must realize that learning is a continuous process. Just because
Absolutely.
you are 40 plus, that does not mean that you are a learned person. No, learning is a continuous process. And we got to adapt. And that is, have faith in your inner feelings, your intuitions. No harm in asking the questions and explaining or giving the rationale to the juniors. So that's what my take would be.
Well, that's wonderful. And in fact, in the face of this time where we all deal with burnout also a lot, uh, taking some time to develop your own inner wisdom is also crucial for our own overall well-being, is something I feel.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Uh, uh, and for the well-being part of it, Gallup wrote a very interesting book during COVID times. In 2021 or 22, they published it,
Mm-hmm.
Well-being at Work, um, wherein they talk about five elements: social, community, financial, physical, and career. Uh, and they give the entire book is on these five elements, and they have beautifully defined that how you can take yourself in a social or a financial or a physical, things like that. So that is a call for the day.
That's amazing. So, before we close our discussion for the day, what would be one final message you would want to share with our listeners and viewers?
Have faith in yourself. Talk to somebody who you can trust. Share your feelings. Trust your intuition, but don't trust it blindly. Have a plan B with you. Plan A, go ahead with what the strong feeling that you're getting. Go ahead with that plan, but have a plan B just in case something does not go well. Any external constraint may change the entire game. What is your fallback option? So have that in place, and delaying making decisions is not an option anymore. Adaptability
Absolutely.
is the word.
Absolutely. And from my side, I'd like to say continue to prioritize your self-care, because whatever said and done, it's you. You have to invest in yourself, your body, your mind. So ignoring your self-care is not an option anymore. We have to prioritize ourselves. Uh,
Absolutely.
so we'll keep coming back with such interesting discussions. Do share what your experiences and thoughts are also, and what more would you like us to talk about? All right.
Absolutely.
And thank you so much, Gagan. Till we meet again.
Thank you very much, Karishma. Till we meet again.